It takes a lot of effort for someone like me to avoid trailers for an upcoming release, which is how you know I was excited for The Boys Season 4. I would say that the first 3 seasons were enough to cement this show as one of my instant favorites, but if we're being honest, the deal was sealed for me sometime during Season 2. I had no idea where they would take the show and the characters in Season 4, but I was nothing if not interested. A big source of excitement for the duration of the show was the tension between Homelander's immense, immeasurable strength, his volatile, bloodthirsty nature at odds with his desire to be liked. Things change in the final moments of Season 3 when he publicly lasered a guy to death, and instead of facing public scorn or even ambivalence, his fans cheered for him, as if their favorite WWE wrestler just delivered a blow to their opponent. Would the show still work with this tension effectively gone? Would an unshackled Homelander be an interesting story to follow? After 3 seasons of Homelander and the boys butting heads to no avail, did this show have any steam left in it? Based on the first 3 episodes, the answer is yes, though I don't believe this season will reach the heights of the first 3. At this point, the boys' characters have become like family, and even when the writing isn't quite as sharp as we've come to expect, it's still an absolute joy to see this wonderful cast slip into their characters again, with each of them evolving their anti-heroes in interesting different directions. To no surprise, Anthony Starr's Homelander is, excuse the pun, the star of the show. He doesn't miss a beat in capturing the essence of Homelander, a veneer of childish insecurity that's constantly buried under a seething rage. I had no predictions as to where Homelander would go now that he no longer feels any inclination to downplay his violent, ruthless nature, and the answer that the first 3 episodes suggest is genuinely fascinating, painting a portrait of an overgrown child who finds it all, including the cheese, to be quite meaningless. Carl Urban's Billy the Butcher has always been the heads to Homelander's tail, the yin to his yang, the Pepsi to his alright, you get the point. Not only does he get the usual scene-stealing one-liners that we've come to expect from his character, the show manages to bring even more depth and pathos to his character, defining him as a man who's desperate to right his wrongs and make right by all his loose ends, even if it comes to the cost of his well-being, and let's face it, the well-being of everyone. A-Train was a big favourite in the first season, which is why I was quite disappointed that the show didn't really know what to do with him in seasons 2 and 3. But this is definitely his strongest outing in a long while, and I'm excited to see where he goes. Aaron Moriarty and Jack Quaid are both fantastic as always, though I'll be lying if I said I didn't feel like they've been taking a back seat thus far. And I would love for the show to delve even deeper into the characters in the same way it's doing with characters such as A-Train, Homelander, and Billy the Butcher. There's also a handful of new characters, and of all the ones we've seen so far, I'm absolutely loving Sister Sage, in part because of her dynamic with Homelander, and in part because of her irresistibly cool aura. There's also a new Black Noir, and without giving too much away if you haven't seen the first 3 episodes, he is hands down, far and away the best Black Noir of the 2 we've had. Yeah, as much as I love Sister Sage and Black Noir the sequel, I haven't been wowed by any of the other new additions, including the usually great Jeffrey D. Morgan, who I feel delivers his best performances when he isn't holding anything back. Every time they drop a new season of The Boys, we get at least 10 different quotes of the showrunners and stars talking about how this new season is the most shocking thing we've done yet. And boy, just wait until you see what's in episode 5. Can't believe they let us get away with this one. And to no surprise, this season is gory as hell and shocking at times. This show has such a palpable undercurrent of terror running through it, especially whenever Homelander's on screen. Like, you just never know if he'll laser someone's head off. And when shit goes down, it goes down in the most delightfully horrific way possible. I am always fascinated by how this show presents its gore in such a visually striking, horrifying way without overusing voyeuristic tools such as slow motion. In fact, a lot of the horror we experience on screen is effective because it's just so abrupt, and before you know it, heads are flying off. If this show is 50% defined by its shock factor, it's equally defined by its effectiveness as a satire. Whether it's poking fun at corruption, the general PR machine, and certain sides of the political aisle, and there are a lot of hilariously well done, effective pieces of satire in this season, but it hasn't been handled with as much subtlety and finesse as the previous seasons of the show. Don't get me wrong, The Boys has never been a subtle show, which is why I have no problem with things like the Homelander trial mirroring the Trump trial, but there are moments where the characters will literally use words like libtards, and I can't help but feel like the show would have been better off if they just eased up a little bit on spoon feeding you the satire. I am all for the satire, but let your audience at least hold on to some semblance of intelligence. I mean, the reason The Boys works so well as a satire is because they use superheroics as a metaphor to criticize real life matters, such as sexual assault or neoconservatism, but when you literally have a character use a word like that, you're completely getting rid of any metaphorical aspect. When you do that, I'm just left asking, what's the point? What's the point of creating a show about superheroes as a vessel to explore real world issues if you're gonna blatantly blur the line between the satire and what you're satirizing? My other gripe with the show is, well, how do I put this kindly? The kid playing Homelander's son ain't really good. He has his fine moments, but he's far too inconsistent to act alongside such wonderful performers. I didn't take an issue with his performance in the previous seasons, but considering the tremendous role he plays in these first 3 episodes, it's hard to argue that the spotlight the show is shining on him has made his flaws as a performer far more evident than any strengths. All in all, the season premiere of The Boys Season 4 delivers the exceptional performances and interpersonal dynamics we've come to expect, but I do worry that the show is undermining its own cleverness by removing any and all subtext, and I'm still waiting for a few things to grow on me. Homelander's child acting and the few new characters. I know it's quite a strange rating an incomplete story, but I'm giving these 3 episodes an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button for weekly movie and TV videos. I'm Cinemike, and I'll see you next time to talk about Inside Out 2.